I think it's also time for India to review its Nepal policy, not interfering its internal affair, but at least reviewing the cost or the result of what happened after India's that decision, which was very unusual.
Hello, you're on Gist on StratNews Global. My name is Tripti Nath, and we are very pleased to have with us today Yubaraj Ghimire, a distinguished journalist from Nepal. And he's one of the best known journalists of Nepal. He's currently editor of Desh Samachar, Nepalese news portal. So thank you once again, Mr. Ghimire, for finding time to be with us. I'd like to predictably ask you a few questions about political developments in Nepal, and I'm sure you must have been chased by many journalists all over the globe for what is happening in Kathmandu. We happen to be one of those who are chasing you. So could you tell us what are the circumstances in which the CPN-UML party withdrew support for the government?
Well, in fact, it's really not much is known about it. On July 2 midnight, Deuba, the chairman of the Nepali Congress, and the UML, which was a partner in the coalition government led by Prachanda, the two leaders met around midnight in the president's secretariat. And in the morning, I think when Prachanda was still sleeping, or he woke up to read the news or hear the news that the support is being withdrawn by UML. So, and they had also decided that together, I mean, Nepali Congress and UML would be forming a government, first under Oli's leadership. And most likely, Mr. Oli is going to be sworn in as the prime minister tomorrow. And this parliament has about 43 months left, its tenure. So second half of that, Deuba would be the prime minister. That much we know. But, Nepal's politics and power sharing is neither based in principle, nor is that transparent. So we won't be knowing much actually at this stage.
Yeah, you talked of the political arrangement which was being talked about, and I saw news reports from Nepal which said that P Sharma Oli is going to be the new prime minister, followed by Deuba, right? And
Yeah.
who's the leader of the Nepali Congress. So uh, it's very interesting that there is one prime minister who's going, and there is some kind of a power sharing uh, informal agreement, so to say, between two prime ministers. How do you think this will work out?
Well, Nepal has witnessed very unstable, like politics and frequent changes of government. And when governments are formed, that is not based on any principle or major, like action plan for the country. So this is one of those power-centric exercises. And I think the government that is going to be formed also may not be that stable, like what we've seen in the past 17 years of republic. Is I think Oli would be 18th or 19th prime minister to like in as many years. So I doubt his longevity, and everyone doubts actually.
Right. So you talked of political instability in Nepal, and actually this is something that Nepal has long longed for, right? Because there have been over a dozen governments who have come in since the country abolished monarchy, which was there for almost 239 years. And the last time I was in Kathmandu, I heard some people say that perhaps monarchy was better.
Well, that's the general response for two reasons. One, despite the fact that King Gyanendra took over power, which people criticized, and he was asked to relinquish power. And he had said that, because Nepal is suffering from insurgency, conflict, he'll bring the Maoists to justice and then hand over power to the political parties. But even then, what was said was the king doesn't have that power. So he handed over power in 14 months, 14 or 15 months to the political parties as an arrangement, that the two sides will, work together for democracy and for peace and for political stability. But I think here the political parties uh, went against that understanding, and they abolished the monarchy unilaterally without taking into account the people's mood and what they wished. Not a process, not no established process was followed in Parliament or the Constituent Assembly, and simply a government which had lost the mandate moved a resolution saying, the monarchy is over, and that was it. So there is a resentment even among the people who criticized the takeover by the king. They thought that, their allegation was that monarchy was abolished at the behest of external forces which don't want stability in Nepal, because monarchy was perceived as a factor for stability. And also the fact that monarchy, king, Nepal, not only Shah dynasty, but there have been different dynasties for centuries, and not a proper debate, and not a debate on what happens after the exit was debated. Not a single established process was followed. So people are angry with this absence of process and law, and people's wish being ascertained. One, two, the political parties that came to power and declared Nepal republic in 2006, which was endorsed by the constitution in 2015, they have proved to be more corrupt, very poor and insensitivity in delivery, and also uh, they have never taken any accountability for their failure. So people have started saying that monarchy was much better. It acted. In fact, there was scope for monarchy to act as a guardian uh, for in the country, which is largely a traditional society. So there is a number of people saying that is on the rise, and there are scattered groups, although they haven't come together in a coordinated manner. But there's a huge, populace which wants the political parties to review the decision they took, and also they are asking for the political leaders to be accountable for the failure and the current mess and transition that still continues for the past 17 years.
Right. In recent years, Yuvraj, there has been a movement in Nepal advocating for restoration of its status as a Hindu nation. And there are many people who are involved in this movement, and they want to get rid of the republic system and bring back monarchy and go back to Nepal being a Hindu nation. Do you think this kind of an experiment will succeed given the fact that Nepal was declared a secular state in
Yeah,
2015?
yeah, Tripti, yes, it's a very difficult, issue, and how whether it's possible or not, I really don't know. But what happened when Nepal was declared a secular country was not a wider, not a single party debated the issue. The parliament didn't debate the issue. They simply, although it was not a demand, they simply declared that Nepal henceforth would be a secular country. So we really don't know. Nobody knows what secularism means. What is the relation between the state and religion, or the citizens' right on a secular system and all? One. Two, European Union have has come forward openly saying that secularism should mean the right to conversion as a fundamental right. They have written, ambassadors have written to the members of the Constituent Assembly. So that is, it's not over secularism. Yes, it was never debated, But more than the way it was declared a secular country, the assertion of the European Union and donors and their collaborators, NGOs and civil society in Nepal, uh, like saying that secularism means the right to conversion. And Nepal is among the fast converting country, and this is where the people are resentful about. But I think this is going to open the whole issue, and there would be a debate, hoping that they will reach some kind of consensus on this. It's a very complicated issue. It's a very sensitive issue, but it is not something that 7 or 8 leaders, without even debating in the cabinet, forget about parliament, should have done it.
Mhm.
And about the
Uh,
monarchy, I told you about the monarchy. Yes, monarchy was also removed in the same manner, in a conspiratorial manner, without debating in parliament. And together with the political change, Nepal had also asserted in the peace process, because there was decade-long insurgency spearheaded by the Maoists. And but in the peace process, one side of the conflict, that is monarchy, was totally kept outside the process. Nowhere in the world can you achieve peace and resolve conflict without the parties involved in that sit together? But here, deliberately, the monarchy was kept outside the peace process.
some foreign policy watchers in New Delhi feel that India may not exactly be at ease with Oli coming in. And let's not forget that it was only 4 years back, I think in 2019, that the government of Nepal introduced a new map delineating areas contested with India, which included Kalapani, Lipulekh, and Limpi Yadura as its own. Subsequently, Nepal's parliament unanimously uh, formalized the government's new map through a constitutional amendment, I think, in no time. And I don't know, I mean, there's yet to be some kind of formal reaction, but uh, I'm not sure how political business can go on as usual with this kind of a background.
Yes, Tripti, it's a very sensitive issue anywhere. Border or territorial issue is emotive issue also for any country, and border disputes always do take place between countries which share border. So it's not a unusual thing that there are like disputes over certain territories between Nepal and India. The challenge lies in the two countries sitting together, activating their diplomatic channel as they have agreed in principle, and based on evidences, sorting out the issue. But nothing of the sort has happened. But before the territorial issue came up, there was also another issue in 2015 September, when India, like launched a blockade, economic blockade in Nepal. Although that time
Right.
Sushil Koirala was the prime minister, 3 weeks later, Oli took over after the promulgation of the constitution. Yes, relations have been at odds when Oli took over, but Oli is also that time. Oli also became a hero in Nepal, because he firmly stood uh, and against like the blockade, and he also signed a agreement with China on trade and transit. Like basically finding an although very very distant route, but finding an access to like to the port in China if necessary. So, but these are issues. This was definitely not practical. But Oli responded in a manner, I think, different from what India thought when they like started the blockade. But then on the border issue, both sides had decided that they will activate their diplomatic channel, and based on evidence sort it out. Only problem is nothing has happened after that. The committee set up for that hasn't met during the past 4 years.
Oli comes with a lot of pro China baggage. That is what is perceived here. And, I was wondering what is the progress on the a BRI implementation plan? Because I think there is some disagreement in Nepal over not taking loans
Yeah,
from China for
yeah.
projects.
Tripti, like over the past 17 years, I would say, and the foreign, involvement or interest was always there in Nepal, especially. So, strategically, geostrategically located place. But past 17 years, we have seen very brazen involvement of the external forces in Nepal's internal politics to the extent of, you know, expressly stating who they want in the government as its head and its coalition partners. China is the latest in trend because in 2006 political change, radical changes, India took a lead role in mobilizing international support, especially from the Western powers, US and European Union. So when India, along with those countries, they got involved in Nepal's internal affair, China started coming in a big way, increased its presence, increased its investment, and obviously, when you have huge investment, you want a favorable government to protect those interests. That is the situation that Nepal is at. Yes, Oli has been branded as pro-India at times in 96, 98, when Nepal and India signed Mahakali Treaty. He even split his party to side with India. That time he was branded pro-India. But in 2015, after the blockade, especially after the blockade, Oli, turned towards China, saying that we need an alternative, route or access to the sea. This is what he did. But like this, Oli has other problems. I won't say he's pro China or pro anti India or something. He's some of his steps have been welcomed by the Nepalese people, but he has got other problems. He's very intolerant towards dissents. He is very humiliating towards his opponent, and there are many corruption charges leveled against him. And there is so far not only Woli, all the prime ministers after 2006, they are involved in one or the other huge major corruption cases, but they have together blocked any investigation. In fact, they have assumed uh, like uh, immunity uh, status. So they are much more powerful than the monarchy used to be. That's what makes them unpopular in the eyes of the Nepali people.
Right. So, my last question is I was just curious with two former prime ministers wanting to share the power pie in quick succession till Nepal goes to polls again, I think in 2027. Uh, how will this impact trade relations with India?
Well, it's instability. When we're discussing about the monarchy, Tripti, one thing is there is no credible and permanent institution like monarchy, and the presidents have not been able to do justice with the high office they have occupied. All the three presidents, actually, they are more or less seen as political parties leaders. So there is a credibility problem. There is when India or any other country come to some kind of understanding, that understanding, the current government's understanding may be different from the succeeding governments. That's a problem. Nepal has lost its credibility and trustworthiness in the international community, including neighbors. One, but I think the Nepal is in mess. Partly the blame goes to India because India collaborated with Maoist, a force they called terrorist in 2006. And, calling Maoist or collaborating with them, both things cannot be, right. So I think it's also time for India to review its Nepal policy, not interfering its internal affair, but, at least reviewing the cost, or the result of what happened after India's that decision, which was very unusual.
Right, and in all this political chaos that we've seen, um, how has Nepal been rebuilt from 2015 after the earthquake struck?
Well, no, Tripti, unfortunately, 2015 earthquake left more than 10,000 people, like dead and many damages caused. But government was in a hurry. Political parties were in a hurry to hold elections. You know, I mean, uh, little caring about the plight of the people. One in that because under the agreement among the political parties, especially the Nepali Congress, Maoist, and UML, UML was Oli was to be the first prime minister after the constitution was promulgated, and conduct elections after that. So what they did, it was mandatory under the interim constitution under the constitution to gather opinion of the people on crucial issues like republic, secularism, federalism. They did, but the buck says that contain the opinion of the people were never open. So it was not a democratic exercise. They were least bothered about, like rebuilding the country after earthquake. Although there was international community always ready to help, but with a rider that this money should not be, like inviting any corruption.
Right. So, thank you so much, Mr. Ghimire, for enlightening us on the present day Nepal political affairs. And we would be very happy to have you on our show again. Thank you indeed very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, my pleasure.